This is your daily briefing and you're most welcome to it. Straight into the transfer stuff because there's plenty of it today, thank goodness. Everybody is calling Fraser Forster as an exclusive done deal. My feeling is this might be happening. This guy, I've got to say, is my first choice. I think he's big, athletic. I think it's a good idea. But bear in mind, this is a transition phase in a succession strategy for Spurs. Moving on from Hugo Lloris is not going to be easy business, and having characters like Galini around, absolutely irrelevant, utterly irrelevant. But I see people pining over the Italian. Listen, I don't understand how it happens, how the voices materialise in people's heads. You know, oh, he's a great lad, oh, he's fantastic in the dressing. Where did you get this from? I've not seen it anywhere. It's just extraordinary. And I think it's all on social media. Fans never used to speak like this back in the day, and I think it's another example of social media not being a fair or representative view of how the world works and how humans work in real life. Pining over Galini nuts. I mean, this guy's one of them. Matt_Swan40 tells us a fun stat. Spurs have now qualified for the Champions League in each of the last 7 Premier League seasons, apart from the ones in which they had employed Jose Mourinho. As a great man once said, I prefer not to speak. Transfer news for you. This is from the Daily Record, and I've just included this headline because I find the wording of this is extraordinary. And it's a Reach PLC proposition, and which means they're writing to the under 12s in the audience. Exclusive! Exclamation mark. Cameron Carter-Vickers agrees Celtic personal terms as major hurdle cleared amid ticking transfer clock. I guess they try to have, try their best to breathe life into something which is kind of, the glacial progression of that guy's career. And now we embark on something which is, I'll come to a conclusion and leave it with you. You tell me what you think. But I've got to say, they're all lined up in a row and they're all coming out with the same stuff, and it's all coming from the club. The Athletic corroborating Matt Law from the Daily Telegraph. Spurs hierarchy will tell Conte they plan to back him this summer with around half a dozen signings, and this will include established, experienced players as well as young talent. Evening Standard. Senior Tottenham players are desperate for the club to back Conte. Dyer is quoted as saying the club needs to take advantage of this moment, this team and this manager. It's in the club's hands now. We've done our job. Lloris, I believe Conte knows exactly what he wants and needs. Dan Kilpatrick, which is obviously the Evening Standard, he has been told that Spurs are ready to back Conte with significant funds and prepared to make concessions over his desire to sign experienced players too. Squad leaders Lloris, Dyer, Kane believe the club must seize the moment and not waste the chance to push on. Kilpatrick again. Conte wants most deals done, which I have to say is a softening of the language, because they're talking about getting them all done just about 2 or 3 days ago, before Spurs depart for South Korea at the start of July. So we've got a week to go, so 5 weeks. Can they make some impact? Levy's preferred tactic of doing business in the final weeks of the window looks unlikely to fly. And Jonathan Veal, who out of all the people that are in the press room, you hear him on the thing there. I think he's a decent guy. He works for Press Association Sport. He's actually somebody I trust. He tells you what he's heard, not what he's hearing. Tottenham are planning on backing Antonio Conte in the transfer market this summer. The two parties will meet in a few days to discuss the future. Alistair Gold, got a whole lot of stuff from him. Daniel Levy set to take advantage of Antonio Conte to secure his Spurs legacy after summer talks, which is fantastic, isn't it? You just pause to think about that. He's going to make up for 2 decades of particularly gross, inept mismanagement, in one summer window. Yeah, tremendous news. I'm under 12. I'll buy that. And do I get a lollipop to take on the way home? It just goes to show you that this narrative about we're really behind him, we're going to back him. This is the press officer and persons of that ilk in and around the press room talking to these guys when they come in, okay? So we know these narratives are, look, let's be generous, they're wishful thinking. So we were told when we were looking for a manager, we were told via Gold and others, there are other people there, it's not just Gold, but he is, you know, keen to hoover this stuff up. They were told that we're looking at characters such as Gareth Southgate. That was the level that they were supposedly aiming for. But equally, we were told they were going to replace Nuno within 7 to 10 working days. And as you know, it went to over 70 days in the end. They get a lot wrong because they're not actually as close to the pulse as some might perceive them to be. I'm trying to be fair here. I'm just trying to be fair. So are we going to witness this seminal leopard changing spots moment that we've been talking about for what, 20 years? Yeah. One concern I do have, which is a pragmatic one, is that historically clubs that bring in that many players, if you're talking about 5 or 6 players in a single window, tend not to do all that well. It's just too much of a kind of culture shock. And I think Conte has started to kind of build something there. I think certainly his rapport with players like Sonny and Kane looks to me to be extraordinarily solid, and he's clearly brought in some guys from the Italian league. I get the feeling that he's a force for good. Right, I genuinely do, but I think there's some you know, metrics, some dynamics at football clubs that, you know, no matter how good things are going, you can kind of overdo it a bit. And I'd be nervous. You know, I don't know if it was, say, 3 experienced players and 2 or 3 punts or younger players, perhaps that would work. But you know, I'm just cautious that there's going to be like this silver bullet thing. Elsewhere, Valencia has met with Tottenham to extend Brian Gill's loan for 1 more season. And again, you know, this is, you know, Alistair Gold nailing the old Niagaras to the kitchen table. Tottenham know this is a crossroads this summer, and they are going to back Antonio Conte. I would use different language. I would say that he has been repeatedly assured by the club that Spurs are going to back Conte. You may think I'm nitpicking, but you know, if I'm standing there telling you what I've heard and it doesn't happen, the onus of nitwittery is falls upon yourself. Villarreal and Betis are 2 of the teams after Giovanni Lo Celso, he's told, and Gold again. Conte and Paratici adore Alessandro Bastoni of Inter Milan. Never heard that one before. That's pretty. They must run out of you know, adjectives to describe these guys. You know, interested, monitoring, and now we're into adoration, really turning up the heat. Matt Law of the Daily Telegraph and Mike McGrath of the same publication, Paratici and Chairman Daniel Levy are in the dark over Conte's plans, putting a little bit of mystery into the mix. So how do I feel? I know you're dying for me to tell you. The Norwich win felt great, no collapse, no sob story, but it was yet another side in free fall. And the issues facing Conte are pretty much the same as they have been since he arrived. There has been some marginal improvement. There has been a little bit of upgrade and feel-good factor about the place with the players that have been brought in, but he needs more. We've qualified for the Champions League, but I'm uncertain how we're fair with this current squad as it sits. 2 games a week at that level is grueling. And I'll say it again, Europa Conference League, we absolutely made fools of ourselves. I won't go through that business of how we were ejected, but it was almost a gift, a blessing that we were thrown out of there. The quality of the Champions League is it's different entirely. It's the top grade in Europe, and he's got to have the resources. Conte's got to have the resources. 2 games a week, you've got to have a proper bench. None of this staring at the bench and you got Harry Winks and, you know, Galini staring back at you. No good. Won't suffice at all. But you know, we're going on a European tour. We're all going on a European tour. And I think there's a nice vibe around the club. But Daniel Levy, don't handicap us. Handicap us? Don't handicap us for the umpteenth time. Please. Good luck. Keep it on.